Access file. Okay, so here's balance sheet. We only need to look at day 30 because it's cumulative data. So if I just look at the day 30 data, then that will tell me what happened during the quarter. Okay. Now this has all 4 quarters of data in it. We're just going to pretend we're entering in quarter 1. So I'm going to filter just for quarter 1, so that I don't get confused about that. Okay. So notice that each of the different line items for the balance sheet, bank, cash account, inventory, we have those same categories over here. And we're just entering in this data into this sheet. So when I'm entering it in today during class, I'm entering it in the way that I would enter it in if it were my assignment and I were doing it. And I'm going to show you the things that I found that are helpful in getting data from one Excel file over to another Excel file. But just because I do it this way in class doesn't mean you have to do it that way when you're doing it on your own. You can get the numbers, as long as you can get the numbers from the Access file into this, you can do it any way you want. So there's lots of ways to do it. So you could take this data here, you could take this, and you could print that out on a sheet of paper, and then you could take the paper and go over to the other Excel file, and you could just type it in right off the paper. That's one thing you could do. You could copy and paste individual cells at a time, so copy this cell, paste it in this cell, copy from this cell, paste it in this cell. You could do that. You could have a friend help you. One of your friends could have the Excel file open and doing the pivot tables and things, and then your friend just reads things out to you and says, okay, bank cash account. All right, bank cash account. Write down 1762, and you're typing it in while they're calling it out. You could do it that way. Okay, lots of ways to get the numbers. As long as you can get the numbers from the one Excel sheet or Access file into this KPI worksheet, then that's what you need to do. I guess while I'm here and thinking about it, I'll also tell you that while we go through this in class, and when you are actually doing it for yourself, the whole process of copying numbers from one Excel sheet, pasting them into another, is going to seem very tedious, and it's going to seem just like busy work. And it is very tedious, and it is, I don't know, secretarial to copy and paste numbers from one Excel sheet to another. But my hope is that by doing that, you'll have a lot of analytics data in the KPI worksheet that will actually help your team to diagnose what went well, what didn't go well, and how can we improve during the game. Just to let you know, although I am probably clueless about a lot of things, I am not so clueless to realize that there will be many of you that will just do the assignment, copying and pasting these numbers over into Excel, typing some stuff in there, and then uploading it to get your grade for the homework assignment, but that you will actually never actually look at the numbers to see how you actually performed. So I realize that. That'll probably be most of your teams will probably react to this data just like that. But my hope is that there's a few of your teams that will actually take that data, look at it to help you perform. And I've found in previous semesters that the teams that actually dive into their data to try to figure out where they're performing well, where they're not performing well, and use these KPIs in this KPI worksheet to influence your management decisions, end up doing a lot better in the simulation. So that being said, let's get started. So here's how I do it. I'll go over here, and I just look to see, well, what information do I need to enter in? So I need to enter in bank cash account, inventory finished goods, raw material, customer receivables, and current assets. So bank cash account through current assets. So I go over here. So here is, make this a little smaller, bank cash account through current assets. And so I'll just copy all those numbers. Oops, gotta grab them. Copy. And then I'll come over here, up in this first cell, I'm going to paste special. And I'm going to paste special just the values because I don't want any formatting or anything else to copy over. And also transpose because I'm grabbing those numbers in a row and I want to dump it into this in a column. Okay, so values transpose, and there those numbers just get entered in. All right. Notice also the way I've set up this Excel file. Remember, some of the data in Excel that SAP dumps out is reverse coded. so like you'll see your revenue or something like that, and your revenue will be zero, will be negative, and you realize that you don't really have negative revenue. Okay, but I've made the Excel sheet so that you do not have to worry about things being reverse coded or whatever. You just copy the numbers straight from Excel or straight from Access right into this Excel worksheet. If they're positive, you copy them over positive. If they're negative, you copy them over negative. You don't have to worry about whether or not it's positive or negative or added or subtracted. You just copy the numbers right over. And the way I've set up the math will figure all that out for you. Okay, that's in the KPI worksheet. This way you don't have to enter in all the formulas and things for the KPIs and all. It's all done for you. All right, so that's here. Notice also that once I enter those numbers in, I've got a bunch of errors. So I've got an error column, and so now I've got a bunch of X's that have shown up here which indicate that there are errors in this worksheet. And the reason that I've got errors in the worksheet is because I haven't entered in all of the data. Okay, so throughout the data entry sheet, I realize that there's a high probability that if you're copying and pasting, or if you're manually typing numbers in, there's a high probability that you'll make a keystroke error and actually enter in a number incorrectly. So I've set up some checks in there to check the math between certain numbers that are in there to make sure that you actually entered the numbers in correctly. So be looking for those. If you see the red X's, it means that you made a mistake someplace. So you got to sort of trace your steps and figure out how to get rid of those X's to get those numbers to be correct so everything works out right. Okay, so now I've got land through long-term assets. So let's see. It's a bunch of numbers. That's good. So land through long-term assets, I think it was. Well, let's find out. Copy. I hope this is right. Case special, values, transpose. Oh, good. Okay, so just entered in those. Good, so there's those values. Then total assets. Okay. So total assets, copy. All right, then we have bank loan and account payable domestic. Okay, bank loan, account payable is domestic, and then there's this column here that's not in there, so I'm not going to include that. Just these two. Copy. Okay, special values, transpose. All right, and then total current liabilities. Current or total liabilities. Current liabilities. Copy. And then shareholder equity, net income, and equity. Special, values, transpose. And then liabilities and owner's equity. So that should be this. Liabilities and great. So all of those, see how all my error messages went away? But now I've got other error messages because I haven't entered in my income statement. So let's get this data. We will get this from the tab that says income statement, right? Makes sense. Again, I'm just going to look at quarter one for me and day 30.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So for example, if we're doing quarter three, we're going to filter by quarter three because you have that one area that compares the previous quarter and the quarter that you just finished.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still doing it just for that particular quarter.
Well, you will just enter in quarter three.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if your team is cooperative.
Yes.
If your team cooperates, you'll talk to the person who did quarter two, who talked to the person who did quarter one, and they'll hand you the file that has quarter one and quarter two data in it, and you'll be adding to that file by putting in the quarter three data. But for you to get full credit for the assignment, you need to you need to have all 3 quarters worth of data in there. Because the KPI file will not be very meaningful to your team unless you have all 3 quarters of data in there. Now, if your team does not cooperate with one another, so you guys don't talk to each other, and you're doing quarter three, and no one on your team shares, you're going to have to enter in all 3 quarters of data to turn it in.
So are you, when you say